drawn back to the place. And like my partner's mum was Irish, and
Yeah.
so he's the most Irish looking man you've ever seen in your life. He fits right in,
Yeah.
and he absolutely loves it. And it does make me think like, I wonder one day,
Mm.
could I settle in a cottage somewhere in the West? So I definitely feel drawn back, but I don't think I could have had, I don't think the work would have been there for me in Ireland. I feel like I always would have felt like I was kind of missing out had I not come to the UK, especially given the fact that like a lot of my success, I feel like comes from my voice, which, is 10 a penny where I came from and a little bit rarer over here. But when I look back on how I got here, it seems so tenuous, like in retrospect,
Yeah.
that always scares me to think about it because it's like if I hadn't done this thing and if I hadn't, it's like a sliding doors thing. If
But
I hadn't
is that really the John Lennon famous quote? This is what happened when I was focused on doing something else.
yeah,
Life is
what
like
happens
that.
to me. Yeah.
And you have
Yeah,
this plan in
exactly.
your head and you get sidetracked and that's where your life goes. We all
Yeah.
suffer from, is it sliding doors or moving
Yeah.
mirrors? Who knows?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody thinks you have a plan, but the plan is evolving. And
Yeah.
don't ever tell anybody you didn't have a plan. Trust me, as you
I
get older, that's what you have to learn to say.
No, exactly. Yeah, I think I'm very, very, very lucky and fortunate to
Mhm.
be doing what I'm doing because it's literally what as soon as I got into radio, I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. And there's a lot of people who feel that way. And for whatever reason, nothing to do with talent, a lot of the
Oh, come
time,
on.
media industry is not a
Yeah.
meritocracy. They don't get to do what they want to do. So I feel privileged beyond belief. It scares me sometimes. But yes, I feel
And
very lucky. And
who would your idols have been then, Deb, when you were starting out? And have you equaled what you expected to do of those idols in a way?
oh no, I don't think I'm anywhere near
But who would you
where I
admire
would like to
before
be.
you went to the UK, or who was your who set the pace for you in your head of what you wanted to be?
Well, I always loved John Kelly on Mystery
Yeah,
Train.
yeah.
On
Actually, I read that about you, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
JK was very good to a lot of us in that terms. He opened a lot of musical doors in our heads.
Oh, totally. There was just no one else doing what he was doing.
Well, in
Like I
fairness,
still.
Pat Kenny did it in our day. You're not old enough. He had this thing
Oh
called the
yeah,
Night Train. And I remember him playing Dire Straits
yeah,
and Love Over Gold, the whole album, on a Saturday afternoon. I was in college in UCD. And it
yeah.
was bizarre that somebody had 60 minutes to play an album which had tracks of 12 minutes nearly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, God, you'd never get that now.
And most people look at Pat Kenny now very differently, but then he was big into music. He was the JK of our time, if you know what I
Wow,
mean.
that's funny. I don't think I
Yeah.
ever knew that about Pat
Yeah,
Kenny. 'Cause,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
have a
yeah.
totally different image of him.
And this other guy, Marty, who was meant to tell Marty, his name's gone.
Not Marty Whelan.
No, another guy who ended up doing TVAM had this thing on Saturday night called The Night Train.
Hmm.
And he played very six music type stuff.
Yeah,
And there was a few quirky people at the time. And then John came along and did it for RT officially. And
Yeah.
I remember you reading that about you. That's where you got your influence, yeah.
yeah, definitely. I didn't realize there was such a rich sort of history of it because
Yeah.
to me, he really stood out. And then I was also listening to Phantom, great pirate Dublin
Yeah.
station, which was Spectrum and then became Phantom.
Yeah.
And that was really inspiring for me.
You can't avoid in the UK, Terry Wogan's all over the place in people's minds, whether you aspire to that or not. He's set.
Yeah.
People don't realise how big he was. Maybe they do, how big he was. And being Irish in the UK, how accepted he was. And that voice gave
Yeah.
everybody on BBC Radio 2 a half an hour, whatever time was, a
Yeah.
lot of comfort.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I absolutely like in terms of style, I could never compare myself to Wogan in any way, but like that's the aspiration to have that sort of laid back affect that's so warm, where there's always a kind of private joke going on, but you're in on the joke. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just, to me, that's the absolute epitome of a great broadcaster. And I think as well, the thing about Wogan is you get a lot of people on radio who who take it very seriously. And, they're a bit uptight in terms of how they want the studio to be and their production team and blah, blah, blah. But I always get the impression that with Wogan, his priorities were elsewhere. Like he had a family that he cared about, and he just never took the entertainment world too seriously, which is why he just always came across as such an accessible person, like on TV and on radio. So,
which allowed him in the tougher times for Irish people walk the line quite successfully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't too uptight or took himself too seriously to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really, like, I do wonder if there'd be such a warmth. I'm sure there wouldn't be such a warmth towards Irish people over here in the media if it wasn't for Wogan.
And what does Irishness mean to you, Debbie? I mean, do you carry the badge when you're abroad bigger than you would here, or does it mean anything, or are you just another person in Manchester?
I never really felt properly Irish until I moved to the UK, to be honest. And I don't know if that's because I had this like accent that I felt like didn't, this accent that sort of said something about me that wasn't true, or that I felt like wasn't true. Or, I never, I mean, it sounds ridiculous saying it now because I feel like Dublin has changed so much, but I never felt like I looked Irish. And the fact that, I grew up in this sort of atheist Jewish household. Well, all the people I went to school with were doing their Holy Communion. I don't know, all of those things. And that's not the fault of Ireland at all. Like it definitely, there's nothing that was happening to me there that contributed to me feeling alienated. But I didn't really feel Irish until I came to the UK, and that became a defining characteristic, that Irish girl or whatever. And it's only kind of then that I started to become quite sort of nostalgic about it and lean into it a bit more. And now when I go back, I do feel like I fit in a lot more, but it's definitely something that became a part of my identity only really after I moved abroad.
That I think it does happen. You kind of it gets crystallized.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And like as the time moves on, it gets more crystallized. That's what happens, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I don't want to buy, obviously identity politics has been this big thing over the past decade or so. And I feel like for a variety of reasons, people are sort of leaning into their cultural identity. And there's definitely a lot more of that happening, Irish people finding more of a connection with Irish folklore. And you see a lot of contemporary music merging trad with other genres, which is something I never saw when I was growing up. And it's amazing to see. I wouldn't want to jump on that bandwagon necessarily because I'm only as Irish as I ever was. But yeah, it's interesting how that's changed as well.
No, I'm just fascinated personally, having lived abroad for 30, 40 years on and off, is that there's something there that we cling on to when we're away that's different when we cling on to at home. We can't wait to leave the island when we're young to get a job. But then somewhere along the line, we think maybe we should go back and contribute this, that, and the other. And we become emboldened when we're in England or the USA. Our identity becomes more defined in our heads, I think. We didn't think we were Irish, and then suddenly we are Irish.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I totally relate to that. There's definitely this thing as well when you're actually there, like you say, when you're young, it's like, I'm too big for this place. I need to go away and find myself. And then, you find yourself and it turns out that's what you're meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
So you think you'll come back someday?
Yeah, I'm definitely drawn to it. And a lot of my close friends who moved away around the same time as me have gone back there to start families and stuff, So I've got more and more people who are back in Ireland, which is interesting. I don't know if I'd go back there permanent. Well, I don't know. It depends what happens, I suppose.
See, the worm is moving in your head. You're thinking about it.
What have you done?
Yeah, well, I've started something that I can't stop now.
I'm very committed to working for BBC Six, and I really enjoy working for the Beeb. And I just feel like as long as I'm working for them, that'll kind of impact my decisions about where I'm going to be. But in the future, who knows?
That's great. Now, the last question I have for you is, have you been to that library of John Peel's. Has Tom taken you there, has he? Have you
No,
been
he
to that
bloody well
vault?
hasn't.
Have you been to that vault where everything is hidden?
Peel Acres, no.
Peel Acres, have you not?
I'm waiting for my invite. I'm still waiting for my
As
invite.
Tom Ravenscroft, not